So friends, Donald Trump's lawyers just filed a lengthy brief in Trump's federal case in Washington, D.C., trying to stop Special Counsel Jack Smith from filing his brief on September 26th, disclosing the evidence of all of Trump's crimes and conduct in connection with his efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. But I have to tell you, friends, I don't think there is anything that will stop this evidentiary train from rolling. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, one thing is crystal clear. Donald Trump really doesn't want Special Counsel Jack Smith to file his brief on September 26th, disclosing all of the evidence of Trump's J6 crimes. Let's start with the new reporting. This from the New York Times. Headline, in January 6 case filing, Trump lawyers again demand dismissal. Testing procedure and perhaps the judge's patience, the former president's team sought to short-circuit a process to consider how much of the indictment can survive the Supreme Court's immunity ruling. And that article begins, for more than a year, lawyers for President Donald Trump have employed aggressive tactics in defending him against two federal indictments. But late Thursday night, the lawyers tested the boundaries of normal legal process and perhaps the patience of the federal judge overseeing the case in which the former president stands accused of plotting to overturn his 2020 election defeat. They, Trump's lawyers, used what was supposed to have been a procedural request for more information from prosecutors to demand that the judge strike the charges altogether, or at least remake the carefully considered schedule she, Judge Chutkan, set this month for pursuing next steps in the proceeding. Quote, this case should be dismissed, the lawyers wrote in the first sentence of their 30-page motion to Judge Tanya Chutkan, quote, promptly, close quote. Now, friends, let me just read the opening salvo, the opening paragraph of this new Trump court filing. But before I do, remember, the Supreme Court returned the case to Judge Tanya Chutkan and directed her to conduct hearings to try to figure out which of Donald Trump's democracy-busting crimes were official presidential acts, such that he should be immune from being prosecuted for those crimes, and which of Donald Trump's crimes were not official presidential acts, such that he can be prosecuted. That is expressly what the Supreme Court told Judge Chutkan to do when they returned or remanded the case back to her. So with that in mind, let's read the opening paragraph from Trump's new court filing, and I'll warn you up front, this one is going to have some of my editorial additions. Introduction. This case should be dismissed promptly. Wait a minute. That is contrary to what the Supreme Court expressly directed Judge Chutkan to do. But I guess Trump and his lawyers know better even than a corrupt Supreme Court who seems to be trying to help him out over and over as best they can. That radical right-wing 6-block, majority on the Supreme Court. Trump's lawyer said, no, just ignore what the Supreme Court told you to do, Judge Chutkan. Do what we tell you to do. Dismiss this case promptly. Yes, that's all my editorial addition. Let's go back to Trump's pleading. This case should be dismissed promptly. That is the only just course of action. consistent with 1, the Supreme Court's decision in Trump versus United States, 2, the critically important institutional interests that support the presidential immunity doctrine, and 3, the stubborn reliance by the special counsel's office on allegations relating to Vice President Pence that are at least presumptively immune. Dismissal is required. Why? Well, to protect the integrity of the presidency and the integrity of the upcoming election? Wait, not holding a criminal president accountable for trying to override the expressed will of the American voters and steal the presidency for himself is somehow the way to protect the integrity of the presidency and the upcoming election, as well as the constitutional rights of President Trump and of the American people. I mean, Trump is just out to protect our rights. First, by trying to override our expressed will because the voters elected Joe Biden, and then to not be held accountable for those crimes against we the people, against our voting rights. That's the only way to protect our constitutional rights. Are you flipping kidding me? My editorial edition. Back to Trump's motion. There are also ongoing discovery violations in this case that implicate presidential immunity and other strong defenses, including the special counsel office's failure to produce exculpatory evidence concerning the flaws with this prosecution and the office's false allegations. Therefore, President Trump respectfully submits this omnibus reply in further support of the pending motions for an order regarding the scope of the prosecution team and to compel discovery, and in response to the office's omnibus opposition brief. And that is just the opening paragraph. But friends, I'll spare you the balance of that 34-page rant, which, like so many other Trump court filings, reads more like an unhinged 2 a.m. Donald Trump social media post. But at its core, this new Trump court filing is asking the judge to ignore what the Supreme Court directed her to do and just dismiss the case. You know, promptly, demands Donald Trump. Well, that ain't happening, Donald. Judge Chutkan will do what the Supreme Court directed her to do, and Jack Smith's brief disclosing the evidence of Donald Trump's J6 crimes will be filed on September 26th. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.